Sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest truths, and sometimes the people we ignore are the ones sent to change us. Before this story begins, take a moment. If you believe kindness still matters, stay with us, because this story isn't about miracles. It's about human dignity, anti-racism, and how one promise exposed an entire system. New York City didn't care who you were. It moved fast, it moved loud, and it crushed anyone who fell behind. From the 43rd floor of a glass skyscraper, William Carter watched the city like a general surveys a battlefield. 60 years old. Net worth, over $600 million. Owner of hospitals, real estate, private care facilities. Power followed him everywhere, but peace never did. That morning, William stood beside the window of his private office, tie loosened, coffee untouched. Below him, ambulances screamed through traffic. His mother lay upstairs in one of his own luxury medical suites. Paralyzed, doctors had tried everything, best treatments, best specialists, best technology, nothing worked. Money had bought him influence, but it couldn't make his mother walk, and that terrified him. 5 miles away, beneath a cracked overpass stained with graffiti and exhaust, sat Eli Thompson. 11 years old, black, poor, and already tired of the world. His sneakers had holes in the soles. His jacket belonged to someone else, 3 sizes too big. In his backpack, a notebook with drawings, a half-broken toy car, a photo of his mother smiling. Before sickness took her to, Eli had learned early that being black and poor meant being invisible, unless someone decided you were a problem. Teachers assumed he was trouble. Security guards followed him in stores. People crossed the street when they saw him. But Eli didn't hate the world, he believed in it. Because his mother had taught him something before she died: never let people decide who you are by how little you have. That afternoon, William exited the hospital through the side entrance, surrounded by aides and security. He didn't want sympathy, he wanted air. That's when Eli saw him, not as a billionaire, not as a powerful man, but as someone hurting. Eli stood up slowly, his stomach tightened. Approaching rich people usually ended badly, but something pushed him forward. "Sir," Eli said softly. William stopped, annoyed at first, then confused. "Yes," he asked. Eli looked up at him, calm. "Serious? I'll wash your mom," the boy said, "and she'll walk." The security team laughed. One aide smirked, another shook his head. William did too. He smiled, not cruelly but tiredly. "That's very kind," William said gently, "but that's not how things work." Eli didn't argue, he just nodded. "I know," he said, "but promises don't need permission." William walked away. But something in that sentence stayed behind. That night, William couldn't sleep. He replayed the boy's voice, not desperate, not begging, certain. It irritated him and scared him. Because people like Eli weren't supposed to speak with confidence, the system didn't allow it. The next morning, William saw Eli again, sitting outside the hospital steps. Security moved toward him. "Leave him," William said. Eli stood up. "You laughed yesterday," Eli said calmly. "That's okay, people laugh when they're scared." William frowned. "What are you talking about?" Eli pointed toward the hospital. "You're scared because money didn't fix this." Silence. That was the moment William stopped seeing a poor black boy and started seeing a mirror. "I don't have money," Eli said. "I don't have power." William waited. "But my mom said healing starts when people stop being afraid of each other." William swallowed. "What do you want?" he asked. Eli shrugged. "Just let me sit with her. No cameras, no jokes." Every logical part of William said no, but grief isn't logical, and guilt is louder than reason. The private medical wing smelled like antiseptic and money. Soft carpet, muted lights, walls lined with framed certificates and donor plaques, many bearing William Carter's name. Eli walked slowly beside William, hands clasped behind his back. Doctors stared, nurses whispered. A black child didn't belong here, not dressed like that, not unannounced, not confident. One nurse stepped forward. "Sir, children aren't allowed in this unit." William didn't raise his voice. "He's with me." The nurse nodded instantly and stepped aside. Eli noticed. He always noticed. Privilege didn't shout, it whispered and doors moved. William's mother, Margaret Carter, lay still beneath crisp white sheets, once fierce, once sharp-tongued, once unstoppable, now fragile. Her eyes fluttered open when she heard footsteps. "William," she whispered. He rushed to her side. "I'm here, Mom." Her gaze shifted to Eli. She frowned slightly, not unkindly, but uncertain. "And who is this young man?" she asked. Eli stepped forward gently. "My name's Eli," he said. "I promised your son I'd help." The room froze. A doctor cleared his throat. "Sir," he said to William, "this isn't appropriate." William turned. "For months," he said quietly, "I've listened to experts. None of them helped her walk. This boy wants to sit." "That's all." Margaret studied Eli, then smiled. "Well," she said softly, "I've been ignored by smarter people." Eli smiled back. Eli pulled a small washcloth from his backpack. Clean, folded. "I used to help my mom when she couldn't stand," he said. "She said when you touch someone with care, they remember themselves." He dipped the cloth in warm water. No magic, no performance. No prayer shouted for attention, just gentleness. He wiped Margaret's hands slowly, then her feet. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. William watched, heart pounding. Doctors exchanged glances. Minutes passed. Nothing happened, someone sighed, and then Margaret's fingers twitched. A nurse leaned forward. "Did you see that?" she whispered. Margaret frowned. "I felt something." She tried again. Her foot moved, just an inch, but it moved. The lead physician stepped forward. "That's impossible," he said. Eli looked up. "Sometimes," Eli said quietly, "people don't heal because they're treated like problems instead of people." Margaret inhaled sharply. Tears filled her eyes. "I feel awake," she said. William's knees weakened. The room didn't erupt in applause. It didn't celebrate, it stood stunned. Because the miracle wasn't walking, it was being seen. Later that day, as Eli prepared to leave, William stopped him. "Why did you really do this?" he asked. Eli shrugged. "People think poor black kids want money," he said. "But we just want proof we matter." William nodded slowly. That night, headlines didn't mention Eli. They mentioned recovery timelines, unexpected progress, medical anomalies. But William knew the truth, and he couldn't ignore it. If this story is making you uncomfortable, good. Growth begins there. Backhand index pointing right, like if you believe dignity heals. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe if you believe racism survives in silence. Backhand index pointing right, stay with us, because the hardest part is coming. Within days, whispers turned sharp. Board members questioned William. Doctors demanded explanations. Security flagged Eli as a liability. "He doesn't belong here," one administrator said. William leaned forward. "Neither did my mother," he replied. She belonged in a world that stopped listening. That was the moment William realized. Fixing one person wasn't enough. The system didn't fail Eli. It rejected him on purpose. William found Eli under the same overpass a week later. "I need your help again," William said. Eli raised an eyebrow. "You sure? People do like when promises come true." William smiled sadly. "I know." The leak didn't come from William, it came from a nurse. One sentence posted anonymously online. "A black homeless kid did more for a billionaire's mother than months of doctors." By morning, it had 1,000 shares. By afternoon, it had 10,000 comments. By nightfall, it had a headline: "Mystery boy credited in billionaire's mother recovery." Cable news wanted interviews. Bloggers wanted clicks. Think pieces followed. Some called it inspirational, others called it impossible, and some called it dangerous. William read the comments he shouldn't have. Why was that kid even allowed in? Another fake feel-good story. Would this be news if the boy was black? This is emotional manipulation. But one comment hit hardest. "That kid is being used." Again, William closed his laptop. For the first time, he understood something painful. Good intentions don't protect you from criticism, and they don't protect black children from being doubted. Eli noticed the cameras first. They parked across the street from the shelter, then outside the hospital, then near the soup kitchen. People asked questions he didn't want to answer. "How does it feel to be famous? Do you believe in miracles? Are you religious? Eli stopped going outside. At night, he lay awake listening to sirens. Visibility felt loud and unsafe. One afternoon, he snapped. I didn't ask for this, he told William. I just wanted her to feel better. William sat beside him. I know, he said. And I'm sorry. For the first time, the power imbalance felt heavy. At a donor meeting, William overheard whispers. Is the boy stable? Do we know his background? Kids like that are unpredictable. William turned slowly. Kids like what? He asked. Silence. That silence told him everything. Racism didn't need slurs. It lived in hesitation, in coded language, in lowered expectations. And it followed Eli everywhere. One evening, Eli asked something quietly. Why do people need proof before they treat me like I'm good? William didn't answer right away. Because the truth hurt. Because the system, he said finally, was built to trust people who look like me. Eli nodded. I figured. That night, Eli wrote in his notebook, they listen when rich people speak for me. But I want them to listen when I speak for myself. William called a press conference, not for praise, for accountability. He stood at the podium and said, this story isn't about me. It's about how quickly we doubted a child and how easily we ignored him before. Gasps. He continued. We don't need more miracles. We need more humanity, he announced. Funding for bias training in youth services, independent oversight of shelters, a scholarship program led by former foster youth, and then he did something unexpected. He stepped away from the microphone and invited Eli forward. Eli's hands shook, but he spoke. I'm not special, he said. I'm just tired of being invisible. The room went silent. I made a promise, he continued, not because I thought I was powerful, but because I thought she deserved care. He looked up. If you only listen to kids like me when rich people stand next to us, then nothing really changed. Applause erupted. Not polite applause, real applause. If this story made you uncomfortable, if it made you think, if it made you feel, backhand index pointing right like the video backhand index pointing, right subscribe for stories that challenge silence backhand index pointing, right share this with someone who needs to hear it that night. Eli cried. Not from fear, from exhaustion, because being brave costs something, and kids shouldn't have to be brave just to belong. William sat beside him. You don't owe anyone anything, he said. Eli nodded. I know, he said, but I don't want the next kid to feel this alone. Change never comes quietly. Within weeks of the press conference, resistance surfaced, not loud, not obvious, strategic. Funding approvals slowed. Emails went unanswered. Committees reevaluated priorities. Williams' advisors warned him. You're making powerful people uncomfortable, one said. This isn't charity anymore, this is disruption. William nodded. That's the point. But Eli felt it first. At the shelter intake office, the tone had changed. The smiles were gone. The patient's thinner. A caseworker flipped through Eli's file. There's concern about your influence, she said. Public attention can be destabilizing. Eli stared at the desk. So, I'm too visible now. The caseworker avoided his eyes. We think another placement might be better. Eli laughed softly. They always say that, he said. Until I disappear again. Outside, he sat on the curb, fists clenched. He had spoken. He had been honest. And still, the door closed. William arrived minutes later. One look at Eli told him everything. They moved you, he said quietly. Eli nodded. They said I was a risk. William's jaw tightened. To who? Silence. That was the answer. William made calls. Demanded explanations. He was met with polite language and careful pauses. This isn't personal, they said. It's policy. William hung up the phone slowly. No, he said. It's fear. That night, Eli finally cracked. I should have stayed quiet, he said. I knew better. William sat across from him. No, he said firmly. They count on you believing that. Eli's voice shook. I just wanted to help. Why does helping make things worse? William didn't answer immediately, because the truth was ugly. Because systems don't like mirrors, he said, and you became one. Eli wiped his face. I don't want to be brave anymore. William leaned forward. Then don't, he said. Just be honest. That's enough. William requested a formal review, not privately, publicly. He brought data, testimonials, receipts. He showed patterns. Black children flagged as behavioral risks, funding delays by zip code discipline, reports tied to race, not behavior. The room shifted. Excuses dissolved. One official said quietly, "We didn't realize it looked like that." William replied calmly, "It looks like that because it is that." This time, Eli chose to speak. No cameras, no podium. Just a room of decision makers. "I'm not here to accuse," he said. "I'm here to ask." They leaned in. "When you see me, do you see a child or a liability?" Silence. "If I was quiet, would I be safer? If I was white, would I need permission to be believed?" No one answered. They didn't have to. Policies changed. Not overnight, not perfectly, but measurably. New oversight boards, bias audits, youth voices included. Eli was placed, finally, in a home that listened, not perfect, but present. One night, Eli texted William, "Eli, I think they hear us now." William, "They always did. They just didn't listen." Change didn't arrive with applause. It arrived quietly. A new intake form that removed coded language like non-compliant. A policy update that required 3 independent reviews before denying placement. Mandatory bias training, not optional, not symbolic. No headlines, but lives shifted. Eli noticed first. At school, teachers asked questions instead of issuing warnings. At the shelter, younger kids weren't labeled difficult as quickly. Caseworkers listened longer. For the first time, Eli felt something unfamiliar. Stability. One afternoon, William picked Eli up after school. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. They stopped at a small community park, nothing fancy, a swing set, a cracked basketball court. William sat on a bench. Eli kicked at the dirt. "You remember what you said to me that first day?" William asked. Eli smiled faintly. "I said I'd make sure your mom didn't disappear." William nodded. "She didn't," he said quietly. "And neither did you." Eli looked up. "I didn't know if it would matter." William met his eyes. "Promises always matter," he said. "Especially when the world expects you to break them." At 16, Eli was offered something rare, a scholarship, a fast track, a press opportunity. People wanted a headline, "Former Homeless Teen Triumphs." Eli said no, not angrily, not dramatically, just honestly. "I don't want to be an exception," he said. "I want the rule to change." So instead, he volunteered, tutored younger kids, helped families fill out forms, sat with boys who reminded him of himself. When asked why, he said, "Someone once sat next to me and didn't flinch. I'm just passing that on." Years later, William invited Eli to a private board meeting. Executives, donors, policy leaders. They expected gratitude. Eli gave them truth. "You helped me," he said, "but you didn't save me." The room stiffened. "I saved myself," he continued, "because I was finally allowed to." Silence. "If your systems only work when someone like William intervenes," Eli said, "then they don't work." Some people shifted uncomfortably. Others nodded. That was enough. One evening, Eli visited William's mother's grave. He placed fresh flowers, sat quietly. "I kept my promise," he whispered. "She didn't disappear." William stood behind him. "You did more than that," he said. "You made sure others didn't either." Eli smiled. "I think that's the point." Years later, different city, different park. A young boy sat alone on a bench, black. Quiet, watching the world pass him by. People walked around him, except one man, Eli. He sat down beside the boy, didn't ask questions, didn't assume. Just said, "You don't have to disappear here." The boy looked up. And for the first time that day, he smiled. This story isn't about a billionaire saving a poor boy. It's about what happens when power listens instead of speaks. Anti-racism isn't charity. It's correction. It's seeing people before systems label them. It's believing voices before damage becomes irreversible. And sometimes, all it takes is one promise kept, if this story moved you. Backhand index pointing right like? To amplify voices like Eli's backhand index pointing right, subscribe. Because stories like this matter. Backhand index pointing right, share. With someone who believes people deserve dignity, because the next Eli is out there. waiting to be seen, and you might be the one who sits down.